Today is World Population Day, and due to the COVID-19 situation, there is a noticeable increase in teenage pregnancies in Uganda, which are expected to lead to an increase in abortion rates for the vulnerable groups. According to Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Uganda has recently had an annual population increase rate of 3.32%, which is expected to increase due to the current highlighted situation of COVID-19 and its economic consequences. To speak to us about this and more is the project manager for family planning at Action for Community Development, Ms. Judith Kansimi. A very good afternoon and welcome to NTV at 1.
Good afternoon to you.
Does the current situation worry you in any way in terms of young people, adolescents getting pregnant and cases of abortion happening here and there? Does it worry you?
Yes, I'd say yes, it really worries me a lot because as earlier seen on TV, we saw that there is a very high increase in unintended pregnancies, yes. More so like among the young girls, that's the adolescents and teenagers. You're seeing a very high increase, and in this whole COVID situation, it is all really so bad, whereby our young girls at home, they don't have what to do, and they don't even have access to sexual and reproductive health services. So you find really the whole situation is really worrying and alarming, that the young girls are getting pregnant every other day because of lack of access to the services.
As an organization, for instance, what are there things you're putting in place to see that the young people have some bit of access to sexual and reproductive health or education and information?
Thank you so much. As ACODEV, we have various platforms that we do address sexual and reproductive health for young persons. We do have campaigns that are running around for young persons, yes, which disseminate information about sexual and reproductive health. We do work with community or the village health teams, the VHTs, that move door to door in this whole scenario of COVID, whereby our children at home, so they move home to home to disseminate this information. We have peer educators who really also help in talking to their fellow peers about sexual and reproductive health. But beyond that, we also work with health workers, yes, who are on the ground, who are like our front health workers, to provide information and services for those who need.
For the adolescents, for instance, that are watching us this afternoon and they're looking for places to go to get this information, what are some of those areas that you would recommend they look out for?
I would really recommend them to really use the existing facilities, that's government facilities. We have a number of health facilities that are government aided, but also we have teenage or youth-friendly corners. For instance, here in Kampala, we have the Naruguru Teenage Center, where these adolescents can really get their service without any discrimination or any kind of bias. So they can always move in and ask for these services at their own ease. Yes, and the other is about, also they can also move to drug shops, nearby drug shops. Yes, the health workers who are really skilled to provide information, to provide the service that they really need in this whole COVID situation.
So finally, as the country, celebrates and looks at World Population Day, what would be your remarks to the government, for instance, to the key points for it to reflect on as we talk about World Population Day today?
First and foremost, I would like to really appeal to government to use the data for decision making. We've on most times seen young persons getting pregnant, and it's all coming through news and passing, by us really having an action in terms of the policy and the regulations passed on. We currently have a sexuality bill that has been pending for a very long time. We really request that if it would really be tabled and passed, that would help out to see that we are having a very youthful and productive young persons. The other is also about scaling up the reproductive commodity security in our facilities. You find that as much as the young persons would want services, that you find that health facilities do not have or are stocked out of these particular commodities that would aid them to get the services. And the other, when it comes to the adolescents, we see that Uganda's population is basically youthful, whereby nearly a quarter of our population adolescents. So I would believe that if government really invests into quality education, more so emphasizing on the girl-child education, we would really have a lot to achieve as a country. Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Judith Kansime, who is the program manager at ACODAVE, joining us this afternoon to speak to us about the day that we are celebrating today, World Population Day, and some of the key areas that the government should be looking at to avoid adolescent pregnancies, abortions happening here and there. You're still watching NTV at 1. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with more stories.